It all started with a letter. An envelope with no return address arrived in my mailbox on the day I decided to quit my job as an investigative journalist. Inside is a photo of my house, taken at night, and a piece of paper with one phrase: "You saw them, but you didn't notice them." On the back are the coordinates on the map. I would have ignored it if it weren't for the detail. In the left corner of the photo, there was a silhouette of a man standing behind my fence. I shot the same silhouette 3 years ago in a report on serial arson attacks in the suburbs. Then the police called me paranoid, and the material was covered up. I arrived at the coordinates. An abandoned movie theater on the outskirts, its facade peeling off, the letters of the Starlight sign hanging crookedly like broken teeth. It smelled of mold and chemicals inside, as if someone had recently washed the floors with bleach. On the wall near the entrance, the words "Look carefully" were painted in red paint. I turned on the flashlight. The hall was empty, the screen was torn, but the light was on in the projection booth on the second floor. The stairs creaked under my feet, and I already wished I'd brought a gun. There's an old movie projector in the booth, a refilled film, and a note: "Lose, or they'll find you first." I pressed the button. Footage flickered on the screen below. Home video, family having dinner. Mother, father, a girl about 7 years old. Nothing unusual until the camera zoomed in on the window behind them. There, in the darkness, stood 3 figures in black overalls and welders' masks. They didn't move, just stared. The family continued to eat and laugh, not noticing them. The video changed. The same masked men led the woman down the corridor. Her face was hidden, but I recognized the tattoo on her arm, the exact same one worn by the victim of the arson attack I wrote about. Her body was found charred, but then everyone thought it was an accident. The third video, it was about me. I was standing in my garden watering the flowers. The date in the corner is this morning. A shadow moved in the lilac bushes behind me. Someone raised his hand, as if waving. The screen went blank. In the silence, I heard the door creak downstairs. I turned off the projector and sat down at the equipment, extinguishing the flashlight. The footsteps slowly climbed the stairs. She breathed through her mouth so as not to give herself away. Through the gap between the racks, I saw boots, black with drops of fresh mud. The man stopped at the entrance to the booth. "You saw everything," a man's voice said, "but you didn't ask why they were doing it." He lit a flashlight, shining the beam in my face. I squeezed my eyes shut, but I noticed that he had a knife in his hand, but not an ordinary one. The blade is curved like a sickle. "Who are you?" I hissed, backing up against the wall. "We are proofreaders. We are correcting errors." He stepped closer. The welder's mask, the voice as if from a synthesizer. Distorted, emotionless. "Your mistake is that you showed too much in your report. Do you remember the fire on Harper Street? You took a picture of their sign on the fence." I should have kept quiet. I remembered. Then among the ashes, I found a burnt symbol on the board, a circle with 3 vertical lines. The editor ordered to remove the frame, said that it was graffiti. "You've been given a chance," he raised the sickle. "Now we'll show you how we are. We are correcting it." I jerked to the side, knocking over a stack of reels of film. They crashed to the floor, and he recoiled for a second. It was enough to slip out the door. I ran downstairs, stumbling over broken chairs, hearing his calm breathing behind my back. There was a car waiting for me in the parking lot. The keys were shaking in my hands, but I started the first time. In the mirror, he was standing at the entrance, not trying to catch up, as if he knew this wasn't the end. I barricaded the doors at home and called the police. But when the patrolman arrived, everything was clear. No break-ins, no footprints. The cameras at the house did not record anything except the wind shaking the trees. I was offered to see a psychologist. The next morning, I found a box on the porch. Inside is an old videotape with the inscription, "Harper Street, 2100 hours." I plugged it into an ancient Walkman I bought at a flea market. On the screen is the same house that burned down 3 years ago. The camera slowly slid across the ashes, stopping at a dilapidated wall. There, under a layer of soot, a symbol appeared, a circle with 3 lines. Voiceover female shaky. "They come when you see too much. They erase the witnesses. They erase places. They're erasing it, memory." Then the camera turned to the cameraman. A woman with glasses, bruises on her face. She whispered, "Don't believe your eyes," and the screen filled with noise. Suddenly I realized, I know this woman. It was Lisa Meyer, the reporter who disappeared a week after the Harper Street fire. Her car was found in the river, but her body was never found. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. I replied. The tape is a gift, said the same robotic voice. You'll get the next one when you find the second sign. The game has begun. He hung up. I noticed that the kitchen window was ajar. There are traces of dirt on the windowsill in the shape of those very shoes. I've been through all the archives. Every dusty folder, every forgotten case. I was looking for a symbol, a circle with 3 lines. I found it in the report on the explosion at the factory in 1998, in the case of the missing bus with tourists, even in the protocol of the accident where the mayor died. In all cases, witnesses disappeared or changed their testimony. All the evidence was lost. It was as if an invisible hand had cut out pieces of reality. But I found the second sign in a place I didn't expect, in my bathroom mirror. When I woke up in the middle of the night, I saw the circle drawn by someone's finger on the fog glass. There are numbers below it. Coordinates. It was a trap. I knew it, but otherwise they would have kept coming. Every night I heard something scratching at the door. The cameras didn't record anyone, but in the morning there were pieces of my old articles lying on the mat, charred at the edges. I went. An abandoned elevator in the wilderness, rusty walls overgrown with weeds. It smelled of rotting grain and formalin. On the second floor, in the office, I found a pile of folders. Photos, documents, audio cassettes. And Lisa Meyer's diary. First entry, they're offering a deal. Erase the truth or erase me. I chose life. The last one, they forced me to set fire to the house. If you're reading this, run. They are in every city. They are your neighbors. Then the stairs creaked. I put the diary in my backpack and hid behind the closet. 2 men entered the room. A man in a suit and a woman with red hair. She's already here, the woman said, flipping through the folders. We need to clean it up before the team arrives. We'll find the diary first. The boss wants no strings attached. They were getting closer. I clutched a can of pepper spray in my hand. His heart was pounding so loudly that it seemed they could hear him. Look. The man picked up my scarf, which had fallen at the entrance. She's here. I jumped out, sprayed him in the face, pushed the woman, and ran downstairs. My ears were ringing, and my legs felt weak. A shot rang out from behind. A bullet hit a nearby pipe, showering me with sparks. The car was a kilometer away. I ran across the field, stumbling over the hummocks. They weren't shooting anymore, they were just chasing. Like cats playing with a mouse. A truck was waiting for me by the road. The driver, an elderly man in a cowboy hat, leaned out the window. Sit down quickly. I jumped into the cab. He took off before the door closed. Thank you, I breathed. How are you here? My name is Ed. Lisa Meyer is my daughter. He turned onto a country road without taking his eyes off the mirror. They killed her when she refused to keep quiet. They're after you now, but I found a way to stop them. Which one? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Their strength lies in fear. They make people not believe their eyes. But if you show the truth in such a way that it cannot be erased. He took out a flash drive. It's all here. Lists, videos, and voices. You have to make this public. Today. Until they do. The truck shuddered from the impact from behind. A black SUV was ramming us. Ed pulled out, but the wheel landed in a ditch. We turned over. I woke up upside down, strapped in. Ed lay motionless, the glass in his temple red with blood. The flash drive was lying on the floor. The doors swung open. The man in the suit pulled me out by the hair. Where's the flash drive? He put the gun to his temple. In the car. He pushed me towards the SUV. The woman was rummaging through the wreckage. Not here. Stop it, she screamed. I opened my hand. The flash drive bit into the skin. They didn't notice how I picked her up while I was pretending to be unconscious. You're lying. He hit me with the butt of his rifle. Blood flooded my eye. But I laughed. You've lost. I remember everything. Coordinates, names. The shot was deafening. But the pain did not come. The man's body collapsed. Ed was standing behind him, holding a pistol with trembling hands. Run. He fell to his knees, gasping for air. The forest. There are people there. His head fell on his chest. I ran. The SUV took off after me. The forest swallowed me up. Branches whipped at his face. Roots clung to his legs, as if trying to convey a warning. Don't run there. But I ran. Ed's gun was dangling heavily in his pocket. The flash drive was clenched in his fist like a single prayer. The SUV's engine roared from behind. I tripped over a rock and fell into a stream. The icy water burned the wound on his temple, and blood smeared across his cheek. She crouched down, listening. The engine stopped. The door slammed. "She's here somewhere," a man's voice said. "Watch where you're going." "She won't leave." They entered the water. I crawled along the stream, hiding under overhanging roots. Every rustle sounded like an explosion. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my shoulder. I screamed, but my other hand covered my mouth. "Hush," the stranger whispered. His face is covered in mud, and his eyes are burning. "I'm a friend of Ed's. Follow me." He dragged me through the thicket, weaving through the trees. We came to a dilapidated hut. Inside there is a generator, computers, maps on the walls. "This is a shelter," he said, turning on the light. "My name is Jake." We've been watching them for years. There were the same symbols on the table, circles with 3 lines. But here they were crossed out. "They're everywhere," Jake said, handing me the water. "Police, politicians, media. When someone sees too much, they erase it. Or a person. Why are you still alive?" I asked, still holding the gun. "Because we are not afraid to look." He connected the flash drive to his laptop. The screen was filled with documents, lists of names, transactions, videos. A senator accepting an envelope from a man in a mask. Firefighters throwing cans of gasoline. And me. My articles, my photos, a red mark. Correction is planned. Ed wanted to post this online. Jake typed in the password. But they killed his daughter. Now they know that you have the flash drive. Everything will be online in an hour. Why in an hour? It takes time to bypass their filters. If you do it now, they will delete everything. Engines whined outside. Jake shuddered. "They found us." "Run through the tunnel." He opened the trapdoor in the floor. "It leads to the highway. I'll hold them off." "I won't leave you." "You must." He pushed me down. "Otherwise, it's all for nothing." The tunnel was narrow and smelled damp. I crawled, hearing gunshots behind me. 1, 2, silence. There is a remote highway at the exit. I got out, waving to my hitchhiker. The truck stopped. The driver is a woman in a leather jacket. "Where's the way?" She smiled. "To the city." "Urgently." She nodded. I sat down, finally relaxing. Then I saw her tattoo on her wrist. 3 vertical lines inside the circle. "Thanks for finding us," she said, pointing the gun at my stomach. "The boss wants to talk." The gun pressed against his ribs, the cold metal penetrating through the fabric. The woman behind the wheel kept her eyes on the road, but her finger on the trigger did not waver. "Relax," she said, as if offering tea. "If I wanted to kill you, you would have bled out in that tunnel by now. Then why all this?" I swallowed, feeling the flash drive pressing against my palm in my pocket. "You know that I will publish the truth anyway." She laughed. The laughter was warm, almost friendly. "Do you think we're that dumb?" "We know, and we're ready. In 20 minutes, the whole world will see your revealing material." A little though edited. My heart sank. They hacked the flash drive. Everything that Ed and Jake died for will turn into a farce. "Why would you do that?" I hissed. "You could have just erased me." "Because you're talented." She finally looked at me. Eyes the color of steel. "You see patterns where others see chaos. Our methods are outdated. We need fresh ideas. Are you suggesting that I join you?" I almost choked on the absurdity. "I offer you a choice. Die a hero whose truth will be called crazy nonsense, or become the voice of a new reality, the one where order is more important than facts." The truck turned onto the exit ramp to the industrial zone. The TV studio building loomed ahead. There are satellite dishes on the roof, like tentacles, ready to broadcast any lie. "Decide." The woman slowed down at the back entrance. "Will you come in by yourself or in a bag?" The door swung open. There was a man in a suit standing in the doorway, whose face I had seen in Ed's documents. CEO of the news channel, and one of the correctors. "Welcome to the team," he smiled, as if we were old friends. "Your first lesson. Tonight you will declare that this whole story is your sick fantasy. And tomorrow, the real work will begin." I was pushed into the building. They led me along the corridor past the monitors, where the promo of my confession was already playing. The footage from the cinema, the elevator, the shootout, everything is edited as if it were excerpts from a thriller. No one will believe that this is reality. In the dressing room, the mirror reflected my face, a black eye, a mouth twisted in horror. There was a script on the table. In red letters, say it was a social experiment. "Don't try to jump out of the window," the woman said, checking the gun. "It's bulletproof." She went out, clicking the lock. I rushed to the computer. There is no internet connection. I found a pair of scissors in the drawer. uselessly. Then I noticed the ventilation grate. Narrow, but the scissors bit into the plastic ventilation grate like they were into soft meat. I tore and scratched until my fingers were numb. Dust fell from above, mixed with dead cockroaches. The space behind her was as narrow as a coffin, but there was no other choice. I squeezed in, feeling the metal dig into my ribs. I crawled, guided by the noise of the generators. The air hummed like a wounded animal. Voices were coming from somewhere below. The rewrite will be completed in 17 minutes. Should it be eliminated after the broadcast? No. If he kicks in live, it will be the perfect confirmation of our scenario. The blood was pounding in his temples. 17 minutes. I sped up, gripping the ledges with my elbows. The ventilation duct turned down to the server room. Through the grate in the floor, I saw rows of flashing hard drives. Jake said that the original files are stored here. An obstacle stood in front of me, a fan rotating with a whoosh. The blades shone like guillotine blades. I put the scissors in the slot next to the engine. Sparks sprayed my face, and I smelled burnt plastic. The fan wheezed and froze. "Hey, did you hear that?" A voice rose from below. "Check the server room." I held my breath. The door opened, and footsteps approached the ventilation. The lantern passed through the grate at my feet. Nobody. "Probably rats," the guard muttered. His walkie-talkie exhaled hoarsely. "Everyone to the studio. She's escaped." He ran out, slamming the door. The server room. I got out, wiping the blood from my knees. The countdown is on the monitors. 11:23. 11:22. A window popped up on the main screen. Files are ready for broadcast. Should I start broadcasting? But there was a hidden section in the corner, under Jake's password. The real truth. Only for the brave. I entered Ed's password, Lisa's date of birth. Refusal. I tried the coordinates of the elevator. Another rejection. Damn it. I slammed my fist on the table. There was a calendar on the wall with photos of Ed and Lisa. The inscription, the most important day. 12th of September. I entered 12:09. The screen went blank. Then it flashed red. Intrusion detected. System lockdown. The red light was flashing. The siren was blaring, cutting through the silence of the server room. The countdown on the screen. 7:15. 7:14. My fingers were shaking, hitting the keys. I remembered Ed's last words. Their strength lies in fear. But now, fear drove me forward like an awl in my back. There was a picture of Lisa on the table. I turned her over. On the back is a child's drawing. The sun, the house, and the date, March 14th. The day Lisa went to school for the first time. Last attempt. The password was accepted. The screen exploded with files, videos of murders, lists of bribed officials, voice recordings of negotiations. And a home video. Mine. I'm 5 years old. I'm in the hospital. My parents are talking to the doctor behind the scenes. We agree. We'll erase her memory. She shouldn't remember the accident. There was a ringing in my ears. My whole life is a lie. My family, my job, everything is part of their system. "I found you," a woman's voice said from behind. She was standing in the doorway, a gun pointed at my chest. "The boss will be disappointed. And your daughter." I turned the monitor toward her. On the screen is a girl about 10 years old, locked in a room with a symbol on the wall. "It's yours, isn't it? They took her away when you refused to set fire to the house in 2015. Her face twitched. The gun dropped a millimeter. "Where are you from?" "They erase everyone." I stepped closer. "Even you." The shot was deafening, but the bullet missed, crashing into the server. She was trembling, as if she was holding a weapon for the first time. "I can't." Her voice broke. "Help me burn them." I held out my hand. "And we'll find your daughter." She dropped the gun. We uploaded everything online. Every file, every scream. The countdown stopped at 0:47. The broadcast started, but instead of my confession, the world saw the truth. But the triumph lasted only a moment. The door was blown out. They came in wearing black bulletproof vests with machine guns. Our union collapsed. The woman pulled out a gun and shot me in the leg before she was pinned down. "I'm sorry," she sobbed as they took her away. They promised to bring her back. I was pinned to the floor. The CEO bent over, his breath smelling of mint. "You made them gods," he pointed at the screen. Social media was ablaze. The hashtag Pravdivishla is in the first place. But the gods will die when they are exposed, and we will build new ones. They didn't kill me. They made it worse. I'm writing this in a mental hospital right now. My diagnosis is schizophrenia with delusions of persecution. My hallucinations are being broadcast on all channels. Every day, doctors come to me and ask one thing. Where are the other files? I'm silent, because I know that the flash drive hidden in the ventilation has already found a new keeper. And on the wall in my room, under a layer of paint, a familiar symbol appears. A circle with 3 lines.